All right, what's up, everybody? You got me and Kevin Booker here today. Me, Andrew Franz, CEO and co-founder of Panel for Creators. And Kevin, I'll let you do the intro yourself.
Yeah, I'm Kevin James Booker. I am head of creator partnerships at Panel. My job is to ensure the success of the creators. You know, we want to make sure our creators find a lot of success with our advertisers and just have successful careers. So that's really my role. Make sure I touch all bases.
Yeah, and for people that don't know what Panel is, you know, we work in the creator industry. We work with creators and largely connecting them with brands and making sure everybody wins together. Kevin obviously is largely in charge of the creator side of that marketplace and equation. So he's going to talk a lot about how creators can be successful in brand partnerships and in their career in general. And I'll kind of take some of the advertiser side and how advertisers can make sure that they're successful in their campaigns and whatnot. And with that, I think we can just jump into an interesting one, which is like, I guess, the state of the industry right now, what you're seeing from the creator side. And I can hit on, you know, kind of what I think advertisers can do and do better if you want to start there.
Yeah, I think the state of the industry before we were in a bit like of this like transitional phase, like brands didn't know what they were doing. Creators didn't know how to price themselves. Like creators are making content and stuff was going viral, but you know, there was numbers that people were just kind of throwing at each other. And I think we're past that part of the industry now. Like we're now in this phase of like people somewhat know how to price each other. Like brands know what value they're getting from creators and creators know the value that brands are getting from working with them. And so
they're closer. At least. I don't know that we're all the way there.
Yeah, we're not there. I think it's like a perceived value. Like, and I think that's probably the biggest lapse right now. Is like there's an actual value. There's an actual value that brands are getting. There's an actual value that creators are getting. The perceived values don't add up. And so like that's where I see the industry's
how do you see creators perceiving value? Like if you're a creator, like how would you price yourself? Like how do you perceive the value? Because I think from the brand perspective, a lot of times creators overprice and overvalue themselves. Like, I mean, if you're working at a fast food restaurant, you know, and you say like, hey, I'm making the best fries. I'm working so quick. I deserve, you know, $500,000 a year. It feels like sometimes that's what brand or creators are doing with brands. They're like, hey, I work so hard to make this content. Therefore, I should be able to charge $20,000 a post. But in reality, they're only going to get, you know, X amount of views. And the value the brand's going to get is probably closer to $2,000. So like, how do creators realistically set expectations for what they're worth? Or is that even important? Or should they just price whatever they feel they deserve?
That's tough. You know, it's like you're asking somebody to like diminish their value on themselves at what the creator is going to perceive is at the brand, you know, at the creator's expense. Like you're asking me to dumb down my rates for you to benefit off of me. So it's like, it's a bit of a tough question, but I think like like I said, creators understand a little bit more about the value that they bring to brands. And so I think creators need to be more flexible in terms of what they charge, in terms of the deal structure. There's things that I think are non-negotiable for us. You know, we at Panel, we pay creators like 1 to 2 business days. And like, I think the days of net 30 and net 60 and net 90 in terms of creator payments is gone and they should be gone forever. But in terms of like, you know, monetary value, how do you put a price on your content? I think one, and I learned this back in the day, because I have a degree in film and, you know, I've been in this industry for 8 years. And so I learned the phrase, you know, sometimes you have to kill your baby. And I don't think creators know how to do that. They don't know how to separate themselves as a person or as the creator of the content from the business of being a creator. So like, if you can take yourself and a bit of the ego and a bit of like the, you know, the baby, I guess, aspect of like this, you know, you wanting to have you just being super careful about this thing and like allow yourself to just be flexible in terms of like what you expect in terms of pricing or deal structures and things like that with a little bit of guidelines, I think you'll be able to close way more deals. And
what is a manager's role in that? And like what value do they add, if any? Because I've seen managers add tons of value or they were completely on top of it and they like went above and beyond to make sure the campaign worked. And then I've seen managers that just feel like they're gatekeepers and blocking a deal. And like, I feel like if I was talking to the creator directly, like they would probably be excited about an opportunity, and the managers kind of, I don't know, it feels like creating or some diminishing friction. Value. Yeah.
I was a manager for, quite some time before I sold the agency or my agency. And I think for me and I'd say like being head of creators or creator partnerships at Panel is a bit of a talent manager-esque, like, qualities, but it's not one-to-one. And a manager should definitely add value. And I think and it's messed up to say, but I think 60 to like 70% of the managers out there in the industry right now don't really understand how to manage their talent. It's probably a friend of a friend or a family member who doesn't know much about the industry, and they've kind of fallen into that role, or they had no previous experience in being a manager or working even in an entertainment space. They see it as a lucrative opportunity. They go and they sign some talent. So like, I think just managers in general need to like really understand the ins and outs of this industry. And you can't really do that like, with just managing talent off rip. Like you kind of need
what should a manager's job be? Because I've also seen it very wildly. Like I think
100%.
we find ourselves like really effective. Like if you want to make a lot of money as a creator, we're going to help you do that. And we're going to help connect you with the right brands. And we're going to help you get paid in a deal structure that's beneficial to you and keeps deal flow constantly coming to you. But I don't see us as managers. I see us as, business partners in a way. So what makes a manager different than us? And like, where do they add value if someone can work with someone like us and get a ton of brand deals?
Managers, I would say, are like supplemental to us. Like managers should be going out and securing deals for their talent. But managers to me are more in guiding the career of where the creator is going to go. We are super hands-on with like our clients because we really just as people, as me and you, we really care about where their careers are going to go. So it's like we assume some of that like management, like some of those management qualities, those talent management qualities, just because we really care about the people.
Yeah.
But managers themselves, like as you sign talent one-on-one, like your main goal should be, where's my creator? Like, where's my talent going? Where's their trajectory? How do I get them there? Like, one of the creators that we work with, like she wants to be an actress, but she does a lot of brand deals and, she's come up through social media. As a talent manager, your job is not to get her to do more deals. Like your job is to push her towards being an actress.
Yeah.
And then the deals kind of become supplemental as she grows. And, the deals are only going to get bigger as she grows and actually flourishes as an actress. So that to me is what a talent manager should be doing.
Yeah. I think the state of the industry from the advertiser's perspective, I think people are shifting more towards long form for sure is a big trend I see.
Yeah.
And I think people are paying less and expecting more. Obviously there's a huge shift towards like direct response, affiliate, that like you see themes of that everywhere. And I think I'm a hugely data driven person. So I think that you need data to, successfully and good reporting to do anything effectively. But I do think that to some degree, there's almost an overcorrection. There's brands that just want brand awareness and they just like want to be part of culture and want to pay for the vibes, which is like, a very hard thing to price. And then there's brands that think that they're going to come into the space and, spend $1 on a creative and make $2 back on their first ever campaign. And then when they spend $5,000 and, make $500, they say influencer marketing is too expensive and doesn't work.
Do you find there's more brands that are like, where do you see like most brands are falling right now? Like, do you feel like they're too cautious or they're like
brands? I think brands went from being way too optimistic to way too cautious over the last, I'd call it 2 years. That's the economy at large has, had a massive shift as well, which obviously, ties to marketing budgets and kind of creates that trend. But I think new brands to the space are overly cautious. You're never going to start buying media. There's traditional affiliate marketing, which is like emails and SMS and like,
and just regular paid too.
Yeah. And regular paid, which for the most part is such a inexpensive way to get eyeballs, but the eyeballs to me are just, from what I've seen in the data, is infinitely less valuable. I mean, if you get 20 emails from a brand, like, you know, whoever is sending those emails is probably paying less than a penny per email. And so those 20 emails cost them, you know, 20 cents just for simple math sake. And so if it does or doesn't, you know, work, they're like, all right, we'll just keep doing this. And like, we'll charge the brand $1 for every, you know, conversion because we're paying 20 cents. But the economics of doing media on influencer marketing is much closer to like traditional TV or like, you know, billboard advertising where
the leads are just more warm.
The leads are more warm. There's production value that goes in. I mean, making an email there's not a whole lot of production in that.
Right.
Shooting a, you know, professionally filmed minute-long ad, you know, there's real skill and value and cost that goes into it. So inevitably the media is going to be more expensive, but I do think that, I mean, I've seen from click to conversion rates and, you know, that just being one, and even view to conversion rates that it's infinitely higher. I mean, we've seen, you know, 50% of clicks turn into conversions for brands on influencer media. Like on emails, you know, you're lucky if your open rate is 50%.
Right.
I mean,
and I don't know anyone whose open rate is 50% on email.
So I just think that that it's, people try to put it into a box because obviously you're going to try to compare something that you're doing to something that you know and do, but it's just like it's not affiliate marketing, and it can be close though. It can convert really well, and you can get a lot of data around campaigns and optimize, but just thinking that you're going to spend money and make money on your first couple campaigns and even expecting that your direct response attribution is going to be positive is probably unrealistic. I mean, if you're doing a download or email sign up or like a really low friction conversion point, you can probably, you know, get pretty positive. But if you're trying to sell, you know, get someone to pull out their credit card and buy something for like $30+, you're not going to, you know, it's going to be really hard to hit those numbers, but you don't have to. That's the thing is like, it's still worth the dollars. The brand awareness you're getting is, you know, above and beyond, you know, a huge multiplier to direct response. If you're getting people that see an ad and click through and pull out their credit card and spend $50 within a minute of seeing the ad, you know, you're hitting the right audience.
Right.
You're doing like, you know, the ad is good. And there's probably 100 times the people that are now interested in the brand that might purchase in the next year. And maybe they get retargeted. Maybe they then see an email in a month and they're like, oh, that creator I really liked, you know, was talking about this. I need to buy my brother a Christmas gift. This is actually perfect. I'm going to buy it. Whereas if they had only seen the email, you know, they probably would just be like, what is this? And not going to do it. So,
and that's interesting because it's like, what you're saying is it's like for some brands, like let's say they are doing, you know, the $30 spend or the $30 product. Like if you did traditional paid, like you would still, you know, you would put the same effort in. And to me, you would see like less results than you'd see with an influencer campaign. I don't know what the disconnect is between the brands and feeling like, you know, that this, like the influencer is a little bit harder or not worth their or, you know, one campaign and then I'm out rather than watching, you know, you're going to have to change ads and change formats and retarget and like this influencer seems to be a easier space to play in though. Yeah, I think, but brands are way more cautious than
when you're on paid. I will say though, most influencers don't work.
Yeah.
Like there's so many influencers out there, and especially in short form that like are not worth your money. Yeah. Like you just shouldn't spend it. And I think that's something that you learn from, you know, spending millions and millions of dollars on the media like we have. You know, you start to develop a sixth sense and just, you know, for someone like me, the ability to model out like, okay, this is realistically what this is going to do. And like, you know, almost all mid-tier influencers like just aren't going to be worth the price they pay. It's like micro influencers also just like oftentimes overcharge. Like if you think about the views that someone might charge $500 and they get 1,000 views and they're micro and they have a really engaged audience, but like, you know, that's a $50 CPM right there. Or maybe even higher. Whereas like if you're talking about someone that gets 10 million views, you know, they might charge you $30K, but like the cost per view on that is so much lower. But since there's so much scale to it, they're like $30,000. I mean, I'll take it. Like, so I've found that like for the most part, macro and bigger people that are going to get upwards of, I'd say upwards of 100,000 views at the low end. But like once you start to talk about like 1 million plus views is where you can get the most value from a brand. And it's like, you know, I did M&A and a lot of work before this. We used to always joke like, you know, a $2 million deal, this is in like the M&A space, is the same amount of work as $1 billion deal. Like, you know, you have to go through the same hoops. You have to do the same process. And, you know, one is massive and one is small. So I think trying to do too much with small people ends up being a lot of work, which inherently is cost. And, you know, doesn't necessarily yield the same results. So I think a lot of brands also think, okay, I have $500 to spend. And then they, you know, spend it on something that was doomed to fail from the beginning. Like you have to be willing to put, I would say on the low end, $10,000 to work on a test campaign and expect half of that money to just completely flop. And then if you get half of it to get some momentum, then you can really build on that.
Yeah. Which you could get better results with us, but
no, I mean, I think a huge thing, like, you know, low key plug is that we actually do know what we're doing. I mean,
and we have the data.
We have the data. We know the influencers. We know the niches. Like, I think another thing is like what you think is going to work isn't what's going to work. I see a huge bias from advertisers in thinking that the influencers that they personally, the marketing team likes is the influencers that's going to work for their brand. Like just for example, like, you know, like middle-aged white women running a marketing team oftentimes think like mom influencers is what their brand needs. Or even vice versa, you know, say like a 20-year-old, you know, African-American kid thinks that that's, you know, what they need.
The
but
only
like,
audience.
The only audience. There's like a massive bias of, you know, just personal inherent bias of like what I like is what everybody likes in social media. Everybody thinks their TikTok is what TikTok is and everybody's is completely different, for example. So I think that's another thing that we do. Like we're so data driven that I'm like, I almost want brands to go in blind and be like, just look at the data and like not at who the creator is and like what their vibe is. Cause you can get so thrown off by your inherent biases that you end up flopping a campaign that if you just look at the data, you can really scale it up.
We should talk. And I know this is something we're going to talk about, like more challenges, like things that you're seeing that brands are just falling flat on in terms of influencer and like my side on the creator. Cause there's a lot of things on the creator side. That, you know, I wish I could just shake creators sometimes and just be like, listen, that is not, you know, what I think you should be doing and where you want to go. I would say a big reason. So I've been in the industry for like 8 years now. And I've seen the state of YouTube change. I've seen, you know, this crazy growth of Twitch. Like I've seen, you know, I've seen YouTube now niche into certain, you know, subsections. I always talk about Black YouTube and things like that. And a big setting context for what I'm going to say is I think a lot of why I love this industry and, you know, why I joined Panel as head of creative partnerships is because we share some of the alignment in terms of like me wanting to help Black creators. I work with all creators. We work with all creators. I don't want to just say for this conversation, I'm niching it to Black creators, but I felt before, you know, us working together that a lot of Black creators that were my favorite creators were underserved. And that's true. You know, like the ad budgets that go towards Black creators that I feel like really push the needle in terms of culture, in terms of affluence. And then you look at the data and they have the numbers, they just don't receive the ad budgets that counterparts have. So a lot of the work that I do personally, and then, you know, here at Panel, along with, of course, like I said, working with everyone is really helping Black creators tap into ad budgets that they haven't been able to tap into. And then, you know, through you helping these advertisers see that like you have this untapped group of creators that
if you didn't see, if you only saw the data, you'd think that it was Mr. Beast.
Exactly. you had no idea. Like if we completely masked every single creator and just brought you a sheet, you would like pay us hand over fist because you'd think we'd be targeting the people that, you know, you like you said, like inherent biases start to kick in and you think this group of people works. And so that's set into context for what I think is one of my biggest qualms. And I'm specifically talking to Black YouTube in this moment, but I think we are getting into super hyper sexualized content. And I know our community just loves that in terms of reality TV and stuff like that. And I enjoy some of the content too. I just think in terms of getting ad dollars and setting creators up for Black creators, setting them up for success, we only kind of lean further into some of those stereotypes that are out there about Black creators that stop us from getting, you know, those brand budgets. And so there's not an easy way to say like, I want creators, like Black creators to, you know, palate them or, you know, make themselves more palatable. Like, it's like, how do you say that without saying that?
Yeah.
But, you know, in order for us to for me to help creators build successful careers that have longevity, we need to think about like how we look in the space and how people perceive us and kind of have our content be authentic to ourselves while understanding where we sit on the table in terms of ad dollars. So that's like one thing. I think the other side of the coin too, though, is I think brands can be, and I'm not even talking about Black YouTube now, I'm just talking about content in general, but I think brands can be a lot more open with what they consider brand safety. Like I've said, like, if you're running a paid media ad or you put something on TV or something, like, you should, you know, craft that in the exact way you want it. But if an influencer is posting something on their channel to their fans, the algorithms are going to push to people that like what they're doing. I don't think you have to be as overly safe because, you know, it's like you're pushing this ad to people that love you and want you to be authentic to yourself. And in trying to like, you know, take that away in any way is like only going to backfire. So I think brands, when they're talking about organic views, like if you're making an ad that's going to get organic views, let the creator, I mean, don't let them do whatever they want, but like almost let them do whatever they want. And I'm talking to the creators that push the boundaries a little too far.
Of course.
Like there are creators that like we work with every day that I'm like, this is perfectly normal. Yeah. You know, and it is, you know, I would say it's like based in reality content, you know, and we know reality content is just more like the emotions are more raw. So like we get it. But I think like what you said, like I don't know what the industry standard is in terms of brand safety, but I know it's way too high. And it needs to come far down. And we need to like really define what brand safety is, because I feel like it's such a buzzword for us. We don't necessarily use brand safety. We do, and we ensure that the content that creator or that brands get from creators is brand safe. But I think there's a lot of coaching and there's a lot of like guiding these brands through understanding what brand safety truly is.
I've even with clients gone all the way to the point where I'm like, all right, you script like 3 of the ads and I'm going to script 3 of them. And like, you'll still approve all of it. Like, you know, we're not going rogue, but like, watch, like this is going to work better. And without fail, it does. And I'm like, what was the difference? Is like, it was like more raw, authentic, and like clicky in a way. I'm like, how you got to think about like, you know, how do you make the ad something that's really going to be enticing and interesting to somebody instead of just like, you know, reading a script that seems like ChatGPT wrote it or whatever. But I was going to say, I think another mistake almost on the other end of the spectrum that brands make is they way over assume that creators know what they're doing. Like I think new brands to influencer marketing are like, sometimes again, we'll give this creator $500 and they're going to do they're going to just turn this $500 magically into more money. And like, they almost don't give them any guidelines or brand brief. They're like, here's a water bottle. Here's $500. Figure it out. And like, creators are not necessarily advertisers. Like there's a big difference between ad content and just content. And I think one thing that we always do is think hard in coaching the creators of like, this is the exact way we want you to make the ad. Like put your own personal spin on it. But like, I mean, realistically, half the time the creators don't even know what the product is really that they're promoting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're like, this is a water bottle. I don't know what's special about it or like why anybody would buy it. But like, they're giving me,
but that's not them to figure out.
They're giving me money. So I think
you guys should bring us those guidelines,
Yeah. So I think one thing that we do, I mean, on behalf of our brands a lot of times, because I think the brands miss it, is like, we'll go and check out the product and like do research and be like, all right, what is it about this product? Yeah. And then tell the creator. The creator is going to make it hit. Like they want that coaching, but without it, the creator is just left out to dry and it's doomed to fail.
Yeah. And all of the brands that we work with see a lot of success with that, in terms of that coaching. I would say my other thing for creators, another mistake I see a lot of creators are making right now is I think creators are kind of like brands. Like they're overly cautious in terms of, like I said, their perceived value versus like the value they actually bring. And I think it's just the state, like influencer marketing is in the form that it is now is still new. It's more established, but it is still new. It still feels like the Wild West sometimes. And when I get like deals, like when I get creators that are like giving me their rates and it's like, oh, I'm charging $25,000 for a YouTube video. And then I look at their views and they get like 40,000 views. It's just like, all right.
And I think one thing too on that's crazy is like, we have such a finger on the pulse of what the value actually is.
Yeah.
Someone will say $25,000 and we'll say, we think it's like $3,000, but like $3,000 will get the deal done for you and we'll keep bringing you more deals.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, fine. Sure. And it's like, how did you get from $25,000 to $3,000?
Reaching for the stars, I guess. I don't know. And it's not to say like that's not what. Well, it kind of is to say that like being completely transparent. Like it's creators like this is not, and this is where when we talked about like longevity and we talk all the time about where we want our creators to go or the creators, the clients that we work with, like being people who just. Although we work with a lot of brands, like we really care about the creators and we really want to see creators' success, whether they're running an ad with us or not. Like we really care about the relationships with the creators. There needs to be, I think some of the creators just need like a lot of tough love and be like, listen, like I know you have 1 million subscribers and like that's great. And that's something you've built over years, but that number does not attribute to the brand's value. Therefore, I can't effectively negotiate on your behalf because you have 10,000, like you get 10,000 views average.
Yeah.
Like there's a big disparity between your follower count and the amount of people who are viewing your content currently today. And that is a big like mismatch in the value of a creator. Like they still attribute subscribers to like their worth. And that
I think
not
some
flying.
Brands still do too. That's a huge miss on brands. Like views is all that matters. Like
yes.
The last 5 video views.
Right. Like what's happening today and like last week and next week is what you really should care about. That subscriber number. And even Mr. Beast has said it. Like you subscribers is a vanity metric. That number, any follower count is truly a vanity metric. Like if you're a new creator and you're wanting to get started, you should hit like, I would say 10,000 is a number where you can feel like, okay, I can now ignore this number. Because I feel like brands take you more serious. Your colleagues in the industry take you more serious once you hit like 10K. Or maybe like on YouTube, maybe it's like 50K. It might be a little bit higher. But after that, completely ignore that number. Like you should look at that number. You should check that number in the beginning of the month, on the first of the month. And at the end of that month, and if it grew, perfect. Yeah. If it didn't, you have a problem. Yeah. But I'm sure you'll be able to see that in your views. But really, it should be views on your videos. It should be your engagement. Like that's the metric you should be paying attention to, because in the future with panel, like we, that helps us negotiate the rates that the creators are looking for the most, is helping them understand their value, communicating that value to that's how we extract the most value for you as the creator. Is you churning out amazing content, it getting a lot of views and a lot of engagement, and we bringing it back to the brand and say, pay them what they're worth. And that's what it is.
I think, I think it goes back to a lot of times with creators. I'm like, you have to create the marketplace for your business. And that's what raises prices. Like if you're working in a job and you make $50K a year and nobody else wants to hire you, you're going to keep making $50K a year. But if, someone offers you 60K, then, you maybe take that, and then someone offers you 70K, and then someone offers you 100K, you're like, you can really start to get your value up. So I think as a creator, if you're just saying my value's 100K and you don't even have that 50K job, like you're never going to really you're just missing out. So you kind of have to build up your book of business. And, with anything, diversity is good in a book of business. Like you're not just relying on one client or two clients. So I think that's a lot of times what we do. We're like, take this deal. It's going to give you a $10 CPM, like effectively, like from our models. Yeah. And then they crush it with that. And then another brand comes in and we say, this is going to have to pay at least like a $7 CPM, or else I don't really know why I would do it. Then they get 11. And then the next, over time, they start to like really build up the yield on their videos because we've created a marketplace and proven it out with data.
Right. Exactly.
But just saying this is my rate.
Yeah. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. And I think in the car,
in the long run,
in the car over here, we were talking about, is it a better strategy for a creator to just say my rate's 25K and try to get one deal? Or is it better to say my rate's 5K and just like pump out business and like have a consistent business going? For me, the answer is obvious. Like you want a consistent business. Right. Like you don't want to be just home run hunting, swinging for the fences all the time. Like you want to build up a business that is, okay, this is what I'm going to make this month. This is what I'm going to make next month. This is what I'm making the next month. And I think pricing yourself reasonably and when what you perceive probably to be underpricing is going to be what gets you there. Yeah. Over thinking that like you're just going to get people to pay massive amounts of money over and over again.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of working. Like that's the benefit that I think our creators get all the time. And like very last thing, like creators that, in terms of what you said, like creators, I know creators do it. Like, they 25K for a deal or 5K for a bunch of deals. They'll do, I'm going to do 25 and we'll see if the brand says yes. Like you might get no. And then you get one yes. And then you automatically assume your new rate is 25K.
Yeah, but then you're going to spend 25K and not get that money's worth and then not re-up. Whereas they would have with the 5K.
Yeah. And then you're saying 25K thinking that like, okay, that's your new baseline of value. And everyone is looking at you like you're crazy, but no one's going to tell you. Like,
and I think so pivoting, I think from that is the other side of the coin, which is if you can structure deals on some sort of performance basis, I've seen creators make way more than they thought they would. There was a month ago that I think a creator wanted like around 1K for a deal. And we are like, we think this video is going to do really well. Like, let's price it on a CPM. And the video ended up doing 1 million views. Like they thought they would do 50K views and they ended up making 10K instead of 1K. So I think it goes the other way too. Like we've seen creators absolutely blow it out of the park for brands and make a lot of money. Right. And it's because that they were open to betting on themselves and taking like a more performance structured deal. And I guess just pivoting into that, that's like another thing that I think we specialize in is coming up with deal structures that make sense for everybody. I was talking to a brand yesterday and he was like, we like to do flat fees because like we've seen chances like where we just end up making like 90% margins. Like we just absolutely crush it. And then creators are like, oh, I want flat fees because like, I think I'm going to get paid more than I would otherwise. And the creators that we like to work with that work, it's like, let's find maybe like you pay a flat fee for the production because there is real cost and value that goes into production. And maybe you license the ad and you can have it for your own. So there's some flat fee for that. But other than that, like, let's do this on a view basis or a conversion basis if the conversion point makes sense. I think there's some brands that want to do a conversion on like a $5,000, purchase. And I'm like, what? No. Yeah. But if the purchase is free and really frictionless, like, you can do some really good work around that. So I think creative pricing, which again, I think is just something that I've learned through my career doing all sorts of different types of deals from, Wall Street to in-house M&A and work and stuff. You realize like it's not one size fits all. And so we build almost all our deals around a hybrid model where if it flops, the brand isn't overpaying and they'll probably come back because, they still paid, what they got their value for. And if the next one goes viral, they're like, all right, well, now I owe them a lot of money, but we got a lot of value. Right.
100%.
So I think that creative pricing model, and you've, I think, learned a lot of it from me over the years,
yeah.
and I've showed you, but I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that topic.
Yeah, I think, like you said, creators, there's a lot of value. Going back to what you said before, like talent managers, like this is what they need to be paying attention to. Like this should be within your wheelhouse, and you should be communicating the value of like deals that are not just flat fee to your talent. It'll help your talent make more money, and in turn, it helps you make more money because you only operate on a percentage. But for creators, like you said, like you want performance. Is a lot of creators are scared because they don't know how their content is going to perform. And we were talking about it like on the car ride over here. And as creators, just they believe that there has to be a home run or else there is nothing. Like, but there is value. Like it's not black and white. Like no campaign is black and white. And it's a success or a failure. Yeah. And with the deals that we do, and these are not creative, like we don't work with creators that are like tiny and like have 10, 20K. Like we're talking about people who have millions of followers on platform like YouTube and Twitch. Like we're talking about massive audience sizes. Like that performance is immeasurable. Like you said, like you post a video, the creators that you were referencing, like they had like 100K subscribers and they did a 1 million view video. Like it obviously the views went way past what they expected themselves.
But since we had a price, a deal that was priced that way,
exactly,
everybody
won. And even in scenarios, like to me, it's always a win-win. Doesn't matter how the coin falls. If you have performance upside, you know, if the campaign doesn't do as well as you thought it would do, or as well as the brand thought it would do, that's not on like the ROI is like already baked in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we just made less money than we thought we were going to make. Like we wanted to make more money, but we made less money, but you didn't lose
less money,
and they didn't lose.
And we'll keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, all right, let's just do more tests. Like I'm sure one day we'll find the mixture that, you know, jumps this up a lot, but like we didn't lose and you didn't lose.
Yeah.
You know, and then when we find something that's a banger, then we both won a lot.
We have all these creators that are open to these creative pricing because they've worked with us and we've all made a lot of money together. And like, I think in some way what we do just attracts people that want to bet on themselves and have successfully bet on themselves time and time again.
Whack creators, you know, like.
But what do you think is why does everybody else in the industry not want to bet on themselves, it seems? Because I mean, how many times do we get emails back? We only do flat fees. Oh, we're not open to this. We're not interested. Like, you're a talent manager. What do you mean you're not interested? Like, model it out yourself. Figure out if it makes sense. Don't just say no on principle. Or I don't know. That's something that grinds my gears.
Yeah, I think we are realists. Like, going back to what I've been saying, but me and you, we care about people. Panel, we care about people. And right now, knowing this space and being in entertainment for 8 years, I know that like the most important thing is longevity. The most important thing to play in this space and have the career that you want, have the life that you want is longevity. You like the short deals, the short little bursts are great, but your 15 minutes is truly your 15 minutes in this industry. So the creators that understand longevity and you know, build themselves a career that allows them to have longevity are the creators that are obviously going to win in the end.
Is longevity possible in social 100%.
Media? I believe it is. And you know, and like the point I'm getting at is like the creators who give us crazy rates that are out of this world, it's because they haven't faced the fact, and I'm giving truly tough love here, they haven't faced the fact that like their 15 minutes is beginning to fade. Like, you know, the views are going down, the subscribers are not coming in the way they used to, you're having a hard time pumping out content, you might be burnt out. There are true like life things that I feel like creators are facing, and it's completely okay to be facing these things. But like when you don't face that music and you don't, you know, every creator is a business to us. Like if you don't face it, you're on a sinking ship, and it's you who has to right the ship. Yeah. You drive the content.
You're the CEO.
You are the CEO. And like, I look to Colin and Samir as like a lot of, you know, inspiration and just like a thought leader in this space. And they talked about like creator businesses are a triangle, and you are, as a creator, you're on the bottom. When you take that piece out, everything crumbles. A lot of creators that give us wacky pricing and all these things and don't operate on, you know, or don't just, they just completely write out performance deals. I think it's because they know like their business is crumbling and like
they don't want to bet on themselves.
They don't want to bet themselves because
yeah.
And it's like, and then you have to face the music. Then it's just like, all right, like shit, like I have to actually make good content. Like I have to turn this machine around. And at that point, it's tough. Like, and I can get that. You're burnt out. All these extenuating circumstances are like flying at you.
So one thing I kind of hit it. We talked a lot about YouTube and Twitch for good reason, because we spend a lot of our time there. But like, why do we spend so much of our time there? And like, what do you think the differences are between the platforms, and where should creators be investing their time?
Yeah. I think, I mean, long form 100%. Like if you are not on YouTube and Twitch, like you don't want to have a long career in this space. Like it is what it is. Like Instagram,
short form, short career.
Yeah. It's not like, I wouldn't say short career. It's tough because we've seen a lot of people who've been able to like drive value for themselves, like using short form, but short form is, and I think will forever be, just a launch pad to a long form career. Like short form is going to pay the bills in the meantime, but it's not going to build you a big business. Like you're not, unless, you're a model or, you're in one of the, like, which still is like, that is not your main format. Your main business is modeling. Like it's a launch pad for, if you want to be a creator, it's a launch pad for your YouTube and your Twitch. Like, and it needs to just be that. It needs to drive traffic.
Yeah. 100%. I think from the advertiser side, like, I think if you want to drive brand awareness and to some degree clicks, although getting people to click, like just user flows of like getting someone from an endless scroll into a click of link in bio is fairly breakage heavy. I mean, you can do it for sure, but I think it needs to largely be a brand awareness play where you just get a ton of short form people to be pushing your stuff. And then like people are like, oh, this is what's in, it's hot on TikTok. But if you want direct response sales and you want like trackability of how well your campaign is doing, like you're not going to get it with short form. It doesn't work. It's, you can do views as a key metric and try to back into CPMs. That's the way to do it. If you're an advertiser, you want to just optimize for CPMs and try to get cool creatives, throw it on short form and try to use like high level, measurement tools to say this is working or relevant in culture or not. If you want direct response and like really well tracked data, live streaming goes crazy. Yeah. Like someone's on a live stream and they say, oh, and buy this candle. Clicks and conversions to your website just shoot up. And YouTube is the same way. YouTube's like a really long tail. It's, it like goes and then it just keeps going and going. So YouTube and long form, if you want good trackability, YouTube and streaming, if you want good trackability. If you just like want brand awareness and views and like, you're kind of like, we hope that this works. And I'm not saying it doesn't, work. It can work. It's just like, I think so much of our work is done around metrics and success and numbers and, proven data. It's just, we find ourselves using long form and streaming because we can go back to a client and say, look, it worked. Versus like, hey, these all got a lot of views. Therefore, people are now aware of your brand. Some people clicked on the website too. Like, people are interested. Yeah. Nobody bought anything, but like, like they did see it. And I don't know. I guess that comes back to like brand awareness versus trackability. And I mean, I was talking to you about think like the Stanley water bottle campaign that launched them. Like, that's a cool example though of like brand awareness short form. Yeah. So it does work. And like, I think we're always open to doing those campaigns. We just need to have like a very real conversation with the brand around like, you're trying to like go viral and you're going to spend a lot of money and like, the money's going to come in over like years of people being aware of your brand. It's not like you spend the money and make it
and you see it instantly.
So I think brands have to be realistic about that. But if they want direct response sales, YouTube, Twitch.
And it's like, I mean, when you said it, like you really simplified what like the awareness, just like when brands are targeting awareness, like you really simplified it. And I think it should be just that. But like, they're in traditional ads, like we know, like you have awareness campaigns and you have conversion campaigns, like treat creators as such, like, and the platforms as such. Like you shouldn't be trying to convert on a short form because it's just not working. You know,
you're doomed for failure.
Doomed for
it's
failure.
Not going to work. Yeah.
But like if you are doing like an awareness play, you know, for whatever, like there's
and by the way, for short form, we're talking about organic views. So if you then turn that into paid, it can work.
A paid aside, but like you should be, you know, only doing awareness campaigns on short form, because that's what they're built for. Like you know. And we can see it. We can see the feedback from TikTok, from Instagram, that they don't, you know, they are not necessarily playing nice in that space in terms of like user acquisition there. But YouTube and Twitch, like that's just a place for that.
The last thing I want to pivot to is like, I've done one other pod with Karu, you know, our other co-founder, and we didn't really talk about the tech at all. And I want to like talk a little bit about the tech we're building now, because it's, you know, getting to a really good spot, and
it's amazing
and what it's doing. So what we've been building is a creator facing app that makes, you know, tracking for them really easy, makes cash outs really easy, makes, you know, them knowing their campaigns and being able to pull the right links in a way that gives us insane data on the back end to optimize against. So there's this really creator-friendly creator app that we've built. And, you know, in the next few months, we're going to be building out the reporting dashboard for brands, where we literally have like custom links for every creative. We're getting views for every creative. And we build almost all our campaigns off 3 metrics. I think we've kind of found these 3 golden metrics of like flat fee, which goes against production and just in general, like brand awareness, views, which is like a straight top of the funnel brand awareness metric. Or sorry, there's a couple more. Clicks, which is like intent, and conversion, which is like success.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of look at something from like, you know, we got a view that ended in this many clicks, that ended in this many conversions on this YouTube versus this Twitch stream versus this Instagram story. And you can splice all that out in a way, which is what we're building. I mean, reporting, I love this stuff. I'm a nerd. But like when you can really look at it that way, which we now have the ability to look at internally, and we're going to build the platform now for brands to be able to see it, you know, the same data that we see. It's really exciting and cool. I don't know what you're most excited about the product, but I would say like, if you're interested in hearing more, definitely hit us up, because it's worked extremely well for us to optimize efforts internally on behalf of brands. And I'm excited to give the power of what we've built to brands in their hands as well.
And we're putting power in the creators' hands too, you know, like in the creator facing app, like they're able to see all their data. They're able to see how their videos perform. And for me, you know, I can really help creators understand like how their content performs when it comes to ad performance, and really help them optimize how they earn on a performance basis.
Yeah.
I've had two creators doing the similar campaigns, and one converts at like a 34% conversion rate, and then one converting at 50%. And obviously you want yours to convert at a higher rate. And that's just video to video. So like we can really dial in, you know, what the best ad is, make it super seamless to your content, and interruption free, so that your audience still enjoys their viewing experience, and then optimizing you the best campaign that makes you the most amount of money. And there's so much data that we're giving to the creators in the app. Like, and you know,
we give them enough data, because I think creators don't want all the data. They don't. I see. It's just massively overwhelming.
But I think like that's the white glove service that we offer to our creators, is that we get like, you know, it's my job to help them understand this data, and, you know, build systems for them to implement in their own creator businesses, so they can really like maximize their earnings. And then, you know, like you said, for the brands, is like giving them the power that they can really, you know, control how they spend, and really extract as much ROI there.
So I mean, I guess just to end it, I would say like, if you're a creator and, you know, you want to work with people that genuinely care about your success, and you want to bet on yourself, like reach out to us, Panel for Creators. We'd love to work with you, especially if you work on YouTube or Twitch. You know, we can do some real damage, but short form stories, all that stuff can work.
We still love all those creators. I know you guys don't feel that way at the end of this conversation, but we do love.
And then if you're a brand and like you are willing to invest into the space and want a partner that's going to like really dial in on analytics and knows the space and knows creators, and you know,
and you're a brand that feels like I'm just throwing stuff at the wall and I don't know what sticks and I can't replicate results. Like,
reach out to us. Like,
we should have reached out yesterday.
and we know which brands we can help more or not. Like, you know, if I tell you like, yeah, we can pop this off, like this is going to be great, it's going to work. And if I don't think I can help, I'll say like, hey, I don't really know if I can help. Although if I can't help, my co-founder Caro probably can help, because he plays in, you know, a whole different world himself. But yeah, I mean, I think hopefully this was helpful and enjoyable and insightful for everybody, and appreciate you guys dialing in.
We'll see you guys
out
later.